All right, and we are live. Welcome back, everyone. Om Lokaha Samastaha Sukhi no Bhavantu. May all beings be happy and peaceful. May all investors and traders be prosperous. Phoenix here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate your support, those of you that have been sticking it through this bear market. Let's get some of the logistics out of the way before getting into the charts. There is currently a deal going on with the Keystone hardware wallet, which I should mention to you all. Save 35% off any Keystone products using my promo code, which is DeFi Magic. The link is in the description. And again, this is my go-to hardware wallet. I really love it. I would not be backing it if I didn't value it personally. So as far as MEXC goes, this is the primary exchange that I use now, above and beyond any other exchange. And you can definitely get a whole lot of bonuses just by depositing here. And of course, if you want to join my C3 and see my trades live, this would be the route to do that. This is a good way to get in my community because of course I get some of the fees and it helps me to continue, helps to support me, and it goes towards my own personal trading. So that's that. Let's see if we can get into the charts now. I think I'm live. I think I'm live here. We are going to take a look first and foremost at the S&P 500. It is a holiday weekend, of course, so I'm not really expecting a huge turnout today. But the thing to note is that even though it is a holiday in the US, the rest of the world is continuing as usual, and cryptocurrency doesn't end. It doesn't stop, so we don't take pauses here. And as far as the technicals are concerned, it seems that we could be seeing another breakout here any hour. So at least that's what I'm seeing. So my overall bias right now is slightly, I don't want to say I'm bullish because I'm not, I'm expecting more of a bounce here. And the market structure is supporting that. And so, but also if we look at the S&P 500, which I believe is now closed, yes, so we're closed, stock market's closed for the weekend, but we're not seeing any sort of a pullback even to this support level here at around 4,000, which is a bullish sign. And so that my initial thesis that it was going to push up to 4,100, maybe 4,150 here, this level here, is still very much intact. It pulled back on a 4H basis. It pulled back. We see the breakout, retest, and then broke back above again. And you can see this wick here. It seems to be putting in higher lows and higher highs still. So we've broken out of this range with some conviction and hasn't pulled back yet. So that's a positive sign moving into the weekend. And then the Dixie is still very low and it's still struggling to come back and find support here. We're not really certain on this. We have a doji after 3 down days for the dollar index. So this is still, it's setting the climate. We have the macro climate here for more bullishness across the markets. And so I am positioned long right now. And I'm wondering if is the chat enabled? Can some of you comment if you are seeing the chat there? Because I did enable slow mode, but yeah, so anyways. So as far as, let's get to Bitcoin first. And then there are some alts that I want to look at that are curious to me. One of them is Aptos, actually. Hey, Adam, cool. Okay. So one of them is Aptos because of it's been very clean as far as the setups have gone. And even though it's only been a few weeks since the launch of the token. So that's curious. Dogecoin, oh, that one really, that one I definitely want to talk about Dogecoin today. Up almost 10%, really blasted off. I don't know if it was news driven. I'm curious if anybody has any leads on that, if it was just a pump. But I didn't really do a whole lot of investigation into that. So I want to talk about Solana because I think a lot of these are at key levels here. Matic is another one. And it's all going to depend on what Bitcoin does, obviously. It's like that meme where everyone's waiting for Forrest Gump to see what he's going to do next, whether he's going to keep running or not. Just like that with all the alts. So we're like basically glued to the 16,500 level for Bitcoin. Um, I don't know what SO is, Cambo. SO, you mean Sol? Yeah, not sure on that. We need at least three letters for a ticker there. So, but Bitcoin on the weekly, let's just look at the overall. Let's just start top down, okay? On a weekly perspective, this looks pretty bearish, right? It doesn't look like. I mean, we see the EMAs very much sloping down. Okay, so the bigger context is bearish. But we saw this very strong red weekly candle. This is one of the largest weekly candles that we've seen. Well, I don't want to say that because, well, at least in the last couple of months, right? But this was precipitated the last leg down. But so here we had this strong candle and it was followed by another one, and that was a definitive leg down. But here we had a big strong red candle, and then we had a doji, okay? And so there's a deceleration that happened here. And we're pretty far from the EMA, the 50 EMA here, okay? And so we're looking for some relief now. That's what we've been looking for. And you can see not one, but 3 wicks here. So this is actually a potential morning star pattern on the weekly, which means that there is a higher probability, in my humble opinion, of more upside. And usually, as I've mentioned, when we see a big drop down like this on a one red candle, it's going to come up at least 25, maybe 50%. And so if we were to measure that, this 17,800 level would be probably close to that 25%. So I would say, for me personally, I'm looking for a minimum of a rise back up to that level. And so we will see how this plays out, but that's just getting the weekly overall macro context. And that's why my bias is slightly bullish right now. I'm cautiously bullish. But do I think it's going to just catapult back up to 20K? No, I don't. Time will tell. I need to take a drink of water. Yeah, I'm going to take a look at Sol. Yeah, I just actually took a long position on Sol at around 14. So yeah, actually, yeah, we'll get into that. So Bitcoin on the daily, you can see here's our range, and we're sort of in the middle of the range. We're basically right in the middle of the range. And so we drop down to the lower time frames. You can start to see a little bit of my process here. I want to, it's like an eagle eye perspective. You want to start higher up and then you slowly drop down and get like a micro view, because this, without context, we don't really know what we're looking for. And so I'm looking for long setups, but that doesn't mean that I won't short it as a scalp trade. If I see, for instance, that it comes back up here and shows some resistance, I might actually hedge my long here, because I did take a long up here when it was back over here, expecting a breakout. It did kind of break out, but then it broke back down to the range, came all the way back down, but deviated, got back inside. And now we're just sort of snaking along. But it's also, if you want to take this into account here, this diagonal trend line, it has just recently broke above. And so if we get a strong move back up to the top of this range, I think it's only a matter of time before it breaks above. But then, of course, you've got this gray area here now. So we need to see a real confirmation will be a break above the 16,750 level here. So, but if you take a look in just these last, I don't know, how long has it been that we've been in this, we saw the bottom here. This is a very clear bottom, and it broke through here and then broke back above. And so we're definitely playing levels here, but you can see that Bitcoin seems to be finding support. So that we're almost 4 days into this now, and I don't think it's over yet. I think this is maybe the beginning of this rally here. So it's finding support, and it's not putting in a lower low here. Some would say, well, but these are lower highs. Yeah, well, on the 4H or on the 1H, but that looks different on different time frames. So on the daily, this could be a slight pullback before another big move up. Okay, but there's obviously going to be resistance at the mid range. So we're waiting to see, if we can start getting, if it can hold above 16.5 for even, say, the next couple of hours, then I think there's a much higher likelihood that it's going to push up much higher from here. So Ethereum is actually looking stronger than Bitcoin. And from a long perspective, I'm actually weighted heavier on Bitcoin right now, only because Bitcoin is the more conservative play. But I actually am thinking that Ethereum, it's looking like it already is breaking out here. It's already breaking out of this pattern here. And look, notice what happened when it pulled back. So when Ethereum pulled back, you can't really call this a range. You can see the move up, consolidation, move up, consolidation, move up, consolidation. Okay, a pullback, but it pulled back to support here, previous resistance, and now it's finding support. So that's an SR flip. So that is confluence for more upside for Ethereum. And then this last hour actually was very telling because it broke out of this diagonal here. And so if we get a break above the weekly open here, I believe this is the weekly open. Actually, I want to check on that to make sure, because some of these lines were off. No, that's not the weekly open. Why did I even have that there? I don't even know why. Maybe I was confused. So anyways, if it breaks back above, okay, it breaks back above. So to be conservative, a conservative entry here would be, we get the move up, maybe it retests and shows some strength here. Obvious long. Okay, so above 1200, we're looking at more bullishness, more upside. Okay, and so targets to the upside, I can't remember where I placed my targets, but I'm going to redraw these. Okay, so 1266 here. This is on the 1H, and then if we look, obviously there's going to be some potential resistance up at around 1334. Okay, and then this is actually, let's take a look. Let's drop down here and see if we can find some confluence here. Yeah, so it's actually, yeah, it's also sitting close to that 1205 is close to the mid of this range here. So does this look bullish or bearish to you? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Curious to hear whether you think it can hold here and push higher, or whether it's going to drop back down to the bottom of this range here. Part of it for me is, there's technical analysis, of course, but then there's also the feeling of just how does the market feel to you? Like, does it feel intuitively, does it feel bearish or bullish? Is the sentiment high or low? I mean, part of the reason that I'm thinking we might see a big push up here is because, at least in the US, today's Black Friday. And you know what people do on Black Friday? After it's really quite ridiculous. It's like they gorge themselves with turkey on Thursday, and then they go out, they fill up with tryptophan, pass out, wake up the next morning, or sometimes they actually just stay up and go out to these outlets, and they wait in long lines so that they can get these deals on these huge screen TVs. And it's completely ridiculous. But the reason that I mention all of this is because it's actually could be bullish. It depends. Maybe they're too busy shopping, but it could be bullish, because sometimes one thing you notice, especially during a bull market, is that people tend to drink more on the weekends, and that's also when we tend to see like a lot of volatility and a lot of pumpage in the markets. And so I think that could have an influence on the market over the next couple of days, because sentiment, usually you spend some time with your family, and you go shopping and all these things, and that you get the dopamine hit. And so retail could come in here and really push the price up, and all it needs is a little bit of a push to make that next leg back up. So I'm obviously decidedly bullish on this, and I do also have a long position close to where we are right now on Ethereum. So that's that. So let's look at Dogecoin, because Dogecoin, oh man, oh, just killing me, Doge. Like, I entered a long position. I think it was here. Okay. And then I got stopped out. Or actually, where did I get stopped out? Where did I enter long? No, I think it was more up. Yeah, it was more up here. But I had a tighter stop. I got stopped out. and then it sort of consolidated. It wasn't really sure, and then we get that 1H candle. So just to give you some context, like my take profit levels, I actually did profit on this move here, but my take profit levels were, it was in the middle here. It was here and here. It was exactly where it wicked up to. Now, you could say that was lucky guess, right? But it wasn't, because notice, let's go back now and let's take a look at this range. Look at the range. And actually on the weekly, you can see it clearly here. Okay. So I had my range, I had my trade set up, I had my stop, I had my take profit levels. I got stopped out, and then it did exactly what I thought it was going to do. And it did it very quickly. And you know what? That's how the game goes. And sometimes it works out beautifully, sometimes it doesn't. But Dogecoin right now, it's still pushing up. I'm not going to trade this here because I don't, as a rule, I have certain rules that I follow. And one of those rules is I don't chase big moves. And especially if I see a big move and then some wicks in either direction here, I don't like to chase these things because it turns into more of a gamble. And we already came all the way up to the high of this range now, and a big long wick. So I'm definitely not going to long here. And it's not in a place where I want to short it either. If it tried to make another push up and we saw a rejection and I'm awake for it, then I would definitely consider taking a short position here. But Doge is definitely unpredictable today. But you know, it is what it is. Missed out on that trade. Campbell, you still feel bearish? Yeah. I mean, it could go either way. I'm not, I'm just playing probabilities here and looking at overall market structure. This one here, Aptos, is one that is curious to me because, well, first of all, let me just say off the bat that this could be one of those plays that does like a 50 or 100x in the next bull run because of who's backing it and because of its, they're very well positioned, I'll put it that way. And I don't want to get too much into DeFi right now. I'm just focusing on trading, but this is one that I'm considering accumulating spot. Not right now, but I am going to consider throwing some money into this and just see what happens. And there's several on that list that I'm looking at. So, but this one is curious because of the range that we've created here over the last few days, over the last couple of weeks here. You can see here's our range. So range high about $5, range low about 377. And if we drop down to the lower time frame, you can see here's the middle of the range, and it's just been sort of snaking around above and below, over under pattern here. But then you can identify a range here on the 4H, and man, it's been playing out beautifully as far as just coming up and down here, and it's been very clean for the most part. And I'm thinking that if it does break out here, this is where I have an alert set up here, but if we do get a breakout here and you see it's above this diagonal here, okay, so we broke above here now, so now a second added factor confirmation will be a breakout above this 450 level, a definitive breakout, because we do have this wick that we have to take into account here. And then I'd be looking to actually probably target somewhere in the middle, 0.75 here, around 4. Actually, I'd probably take first target would be around 472-ish just to be safe, a little bit below the top of that wick. And then I'd probably go around 496 for my second target. So I'm just speaking out loud as far as like long position here, but it is still it's going to be very choppy. And so we'll see, but it may push up, especially if Bitcoin holds here. It seems to want to break out of this little microstructure here. So that's Aptos. Atom, I also got stopped out, but I had a tight stop and I wasn't really risking a whole lot. It was at one point I was in decent profit on this trade too. So that's what happens when the price goes range bound. You don't always expect that it's going to enter into a range. Now it's clearly in somewhat of a range here, but still bullish. because this low here is higher than this low here. And we saw, of course, after a big strong push up, there's going to be some consolidation before it makes up its mind whether it wants to continue. So I think that Atom is going to push up a little bit higher here. I think there's some room for it to grow. And I'd be looking to, well, is that a weekly level? I don't know why. Some of these lines here are actually, I'm trying to remember why I drew. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm less likely to trade Atom. I'm more interested in Matic actually. And Matic, so Matic and Solana. Okay. Actually, let me do Solana first because that was requested. Actually, you can see my trade right here. This is where I got in. This is my stop loss about 1.7%. And then my first take profit, this is close to the 0.75 here. Actually, I was being a little conservative with this take profit. I might actually remove that because it looks like it's doing what I wanted it to. And then the second take profit is 1464. But I do think that Solana, as I mentioned, actually, I initially longed it around 13. And then I can't remember what happened. I think I got scared out and then it pushed up. But so I think that Solana has more, if Ethereum holds, and here we see Ethereum coming up now, it's up 1202.50. If Ethereum holds, then I think that Solana is going to have a lot more upside. And I think it's at least it should come back up to this 1850 level, which would be still a big move up from here. So I think there's a lot more potential upside for Solana in the coming days. I mean, that would be a 30% move. I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility, especially if Ethereum pushes up to 13, 1400. And I'm mentioning the closest targets here. This is the mid range here around 1545. 1545 would be the mid. So conservative entry would be waiting for the breakout above this. So I may profit off this trade, take profit levels hit, and then reassess when it hits the top of this range. That's usually my style, as opposed to just holding onto the trade, hoping for a convincing breakout to the upside. But if it does break out above this 1464 level with some strength, then next target is 1546 for me. And then ultimately maybe somewhere in the middle here in all of this zone here. And then we're looking at 1850 at the top there. So, and it's not really all that, out of the ordinary if you look at just how oversold Solana is. And so there's that natural reaction back to equilibrium, the reversion back to the mean. And so Solana is like the furthest away of most of the altcoins, and especially altcoins in the top 20, right? So Solana is I definitely feel most bullish about Solana in the coming days and weeks. So we'll see what happens with that. But I would definitely want to revisit this if it does come all the way back up to 1850 and see what kind of momentum it has up there. But that would obviously be a level of resistance on the way back up again. So Matic and Solana, Matic is another one that I just took a long position on, and I'm long from somewhere around here, 0.842. And again, just waiting to see, is it going to break out of this channel here? Is it going to break out of this little range that we have going on? And if we look on the weekly, is this bullish or bearish? I mean, it's sort of neutral, right? Because again, we're in the middle of the range, just like Bitcoin, okay? We're in the middle of this range on a weekly basis. And, many have called this one large distribution. That may be the case, but there's still the possibility that it could push back up again to the top of this range. And you see these wicks here, and you see that you take the context from the rest of the market, it's going to depend on Ethereum. If Ethereum continues to hold here and pushes back up, then I don't think it's really that out of the question for Matic to push back up to 98 cents, okay, and potentially deviate back above again. But there I'd be looking for maybe for shorts. But again, you have to reassess as the conditions are revealed, okay? We have to reassess each and every day. What is the stock market doing? What are the bonds doing? What is the dollar index doing? What is the VIX doing? What does the total market cap look like? All of those things, those are all going to factor in. But right now, I'm seeing that everything is lining up for a potential push up this weekend. And because it is a holiday weekend, it may be a little bit different than what we've been seeing over the last several months. We may see more activity, and we aren't even in the weekend yet. We're still on Friday. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how the Asian markets respond to this. Any sort of a hold here, any sort of, if we see that the price doesn't want to push lower, and we see that we've already had momentum to the upside, then obviously there's going to be more of a bullish bias. And that's just kind of common sense. And that's how we have to approach these markets. So with Matic, yes, definitely. After a deviation, back outside, got back inside, and then I started seeing this. Look at these 4-hour candles, okay? Look at these rejection wicks. Likely more upside. And usually when it gets outside and it pushes back inside, it's going to push all the way back up to the top at minimum. So we will see, we shall see. But that's a high probability play for me, both Matic and Solana. And so far they're in decent profit, but we will see. Really depends. Sushi, let's see if we can make anything out of this. Yeah, I'm not interested in sushi until it pushes above $1.35. Geez, I have a whole bunch of alerts that never went off here. I just don't like the look of this. I don't know. There's other traders that seem to do well with sushi. It's just not my cup of tea, this is like the high octane, this is like the Red Bull, and I'm more like, I like, lavender and chamomile. And not to be, grandpa or anything like that, but I mean, I'll play the alts if I like Link, for instance. Okay, Link looks better to me because it's in the bottom of it's pushing up from the bottom of this weekly range here, and it looks like it's consolidating above this swing high here. And so I would actually be if I wasn't already completely in on my trades, and for me, being in is like risking about 2 to 2.5%, then I would consider taking a long here and look. And first target would be around 765, and then but there's this whole gap right here that likely will fill again if Bitcoin and Ethereum hold. Bitcoin, we're looking at 16,550 now. It's pushing up as we go here. One thing that I notice is that, at least from the Delta perspective, there are a lot of longs coming in to the market. And for whatever reason, the price hasn't pushed up yet. But it could just be that they're accumulating, the market makers, that is, they're accumulating slowly, gradually before the next big push up. And so that's the only real, because I'm seeing open interest on the rise. I'm seeing the longs opening up. I'm seeing shorts closing. And yet we haven't seen a big, strong push up in the price. But I think that if this continues, obviously it's only a matter of time. So that's just my read as far as looking at the footprint, looking at just like the orders coming in for Bitcoin, Ethereum. So, and you can see that one thing that is a little bit interesting is Litecoin, which really pushed up. Now it's starting to come down, but maybe finding support here. Okay, so Litecoin pushed all the way up. Why did I have this level here? Yep. Okay, so this is a supply zone. Came right up into this supply zone and then pushed down, back down. But now look, this was a previous range here. Okay, and now it's maybe finding some support. maybe we'll make another push back up again. I'm not going to trade this, but I'm sort of using this as a gauge of what the alts are going to do, because Litecoin historically has been the one that pumps before everything else. It's sort of an indicator. So if Litecoin really starts to lose steam here, that would be concerning to me, but it hasn't shown that yet, even though we see it's coming down. I wouldn't short this here because it's coming into this level here. If it came below here and started to falter, then maybe I'd consider shorting it down to here and seeing what happens next. But I think that Litecoin maybe will make another push up and may even break through this supply zone. Again, dependent on the rest of the market. Stock market was pretty flat today, but again, it could, yeah, even just the fact that it was flat after this move that we've seen here, it's a good sign. My stomach is grumbling. What is AR? 𝐷? I'm guessing it's 𝐷. Yeah. Geez, I remember when I was buying and selling 𝐷, but it's been a while. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could go, it could push up here. It could push up. I definitely wouldn't short here. That's for sure. But so here's our range here. And then let's establish the mid. Okay. We're gonna, so that when we do drop down to the, sorry, I haven't had my breakfast today, so I'm a little bit slow. I don't usually eat breakfast, but I do take a juice in the morning. But so there we have it on the weekly. Now let's look at the daily and see if we can see anything else here. A lot of chop for 𝐷. I mean, I'm curious where you're trading this. I'm not trading it on, I don't know if it's even available on 𝐼𝐴𝐾 maybe, Binance. Ooh, this does not look pretty to me. Yeah, I would lean more towards a long, but it looks, I mean, if you see some of these candles here, this is a big wave surfing, and it's very choppy waves, very windy day out on the water. So, I mean, sometimes you catch that one wave and it's great, it's fantastic, but then you might spend the whole rest of the day and just get chopped up. So for me, like as a rule, I won't trade something like this, especially if it's hard for me at initial glance to get a read on it. That's a real telltale sign. But if I had to pick a side, I would pick a long here. But there's going to be some resistance, especially at around 1050 on the way back up. But if it can clear that, then we're looking at 1220-ish. And then you can see another zone here around 1430. Maybe this wick here for taking some profits. But you're very unpredictable. I mean, especially after this. So this, it's like it's kind of like when you're driving on the highway and you see someone and they're sort of swerving, or they're picking up speed really quick and then they slow down really fast, and you're like, is this person drunk, or are they just on their phone or distracted? Whatever the case may be, I'm going to keep a safe distance. And so in this case, this is like a drunk driver on the road. Okay, like zooming fast and then slowing down and then kind of picking up and then just faltering here, staggering, and then crushing back all the way back, even lower than it was before. Maybe it does it again. So maybe you're thinking, well, this could repeat. But I mean, have we seen a repeat here? We've seen spikes along the way, but just not really worth it. And so a lot of these alts, I just, I'm not, there was a time where 𝑅𝐸 was a good play, in the bull market. But right now, with all the liquidity being sucked out and the alts losing a large majority of their market caps, they can be pushed around pretty easily, and they don't follow the basic rules of TA. They don't follow them as well. I'm not going to say that they don't follow them at all, but like even 𝐸𝐽𝐬𝐧, I mean 𝐸𝐽𝐬𝐧 is potentially more trade worthy than something like 𝑅𝐸. Um, BNB, I haven't actually been focused on this very closely. Ooh, okay. So yeah, this has some potential here. BNB breaking out of this range, which I think is a daily range here. Okay, breaking out and showing some rejection. Okay, this actually is a good potential trade setup here, and you can see the build out breakout, the breakout build up after this. Okay, but this again, I'm a little bit more hesitant when I see a big strong move up. But you can see it's consolidating, but it's not pushing down. We haven't had a real push down here. So if we see a strong momentum candle, then that might be a good place to get on board for a breakout trader. Not financial advice, but for me, if I saw a strong breakout and then a retest quickly after, and then the retest, it fails to break down, then I would be considering a long here. And the reason that BNB is more appealing at this level is because if you look, you can see, well, there's definitely going to be some resistance on the way back up again right over here, okay? So this would be maybe first take profit. But if we look at this, yeah, there's some gaps here. There's some gaps here that maybe want to fill. So maybe I would take second take profit level would be somewhere up here. So there's a lot of room for BNB to soar here back up again after all that drama. But you can see that even BNB, I think that exchange tokens, at least in the coming months, are going to be a lot more unpredictable. And so that's why I did trade during this, but then as soon as everything settled, I just got out of it and I haven't traded it since. I've just sort of lost interest in it because I feel like exchange tokens aren't stable in general because of FTX. So like 𝐸 is another one that people have been asking about, and 𝐸 it actually came, I think these were all-time lows here, lower than it's ever been. But then you see a lot of support coming in, but then you see the push up wasn't very strong. And right now it's sort of, it's coming down gradually. And people are saying, well, it could go to zero. Yeah, it could. But it's hard to say because we don't know what news is going to be released, whether they're actually, whether they're actually telling the truth. I just don't want to deal with it. I want some stability so that I can pick out the highest probability plays. Okay. Yes, you are welcome. Okay. Long in MEXC. Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully it goes up, right? I think that it has a good shot at it. But yeah, we're holding above right now. Oh, but there's a rejection here. Oh, come on, Bitcoin. That would have been nice. Okay, we'll see. We still got 20 minutes left in this candle. And I'm going to take a look at the footprint here and just see what's coming in. Yeah, it's kind of, it's on the fence still. We're still on the fence. We're still stumbling around down here. We shall see. We will see. So I think that's all I've got for you all today. There's not a whole lot of you on this stream. And so if there's any other questions, please feel free here. Now's the time. Again, if you want to see my trades, then you want to join my group. And there is a link to follow if you go to my Twitter profile and you go to the pinned tweet, you can click on that and you will see all the details about that. Again, also my course is only $36 right now. I am going to raise that price I am going to raise the price. I'm not just going to give it away like that forever. So a lot of people have been buying it, which is good because I want that information to spread right now. And I want it to spread among those of you that are really dedicated right now, as opposed to people coming into the bull market wanting insane deals. No, you're going to pay probably 5 to 10 times the price that it is right now if you come in a bull market, because I'm not I'm not playing around. I want people to be serious. And I was talking to a friend just last night, and he's like, why is it that most traders fail? And it's the same reasoning. Why is it that most people fail at business? Why is the 9 out of 10 businesses fail? Because they don't have the passion and the drive and the consistency, and they're not really in it for the long haul. But if you are, then ultimately you will be profitable as a trader. But you have to be patient and not expect that you're going to make, thousands in a day off a single trade. That's not how it works starting out for most traders. And so, I was talking to another guy last night at this gathering, and he was talking about how he used a lot of high leverage and how it was amazing. Some days he'd be up 30K, and he'd start with like, 10K or something. He'd be up 30K in a day. And I'm like, well, yeah, but then what happens when it goes the other way? And he said, yeah. And I wrecked myself, and then I'd start over again. I'd always build it up to a certain level, and then I'd blow up the account, start over again. That's why most traders blow up at least 1 to 2 accounts, because they don't think of it the same way. Whereas if you're establishing your risk first, and you're setting your stop loss, and you know that this is my position size, if I'm risking 1% or 0.5% on every trade, then your leverage should be bound by those parameters, right? So I'll have a 2x or 4x or 5x trade, but a lot of the times that's just to get my position size down so that I can place more trades. It's not so that I don't want to amp up the leverage so that I can make the fast gains. I want to trade the levels as I see them. Oh, Phantom. I haven't seen Phantom in a long time. I haven't looked at it in a long time. I don't even have it. I don't even have it on here right now. All right, I'll look at it. I was a little bit jaded about Phantom after Andre left and everything. Oh my God, it looks terrible. Every time, every time I talk about a project and I even put it in the slightest negative light or just speak truth about it, I get so much flack from different people. And I'm just being realistic. And I think I was definitely selling it up here. I think I was buying and selling here, and then I finally got out somewhere. It was like $1.50 or so. And so now we're at 18 cents. Okay. Does it look bullish on a weekly perspective? No. Okay. No, definitely not. Can it push back up? Again, we saw a big red candle. Can it push back up? Maybe we're looking at a return to a weekly level here. Okay. Let's just use that week. Okay. Maybe we're gonna return. We're in the middle of the range again. Okay. But it's finding some support. It's potentially finding support here. It may push up. I'd be looking at, I need to turn this magnet off. I learned that you can use the magnet to get it precise, whereas before I was just having to enter in the value of exactly where that wick was. You can turn this magnet on, and then it'll just click in. But then the downside of that is you have to turn it off again, because it'll screw you up when you're trying to get in the middle of a range. So Phantom, I wouldn't trade this, but I would maybe wait to see. Hmm. Yeah, because there's these different levels here that look to me like they're going to be resistance on the way back up. But Phantom is in a general uptrend. So I think that Phantom, and this is definitely, you see this triple bottom here, and you can see that it has found support above this sort of critical mass, you could say, this value area. And so it may push up. It may push up. I would lean towards more upside, just like with everything else, but it's dependent on Ethereum. Ethereum needs to get off its ass and start moving. It needs to start really breaking above 1200 with some strength, with some conviction. So, but then, trading alts is something that it's an art and the timing is really critical. And so for me, like right now, here at this level, it's sort of in the middle of this. Okay, so I would wait to see, does it come back down again? Does it show strength? Maybe here's a long area here around 18 cents. Or does it push up here and show strength and that it wants to break out here? Then, or maybe breaks out, retests here, then we're looking at around 19 cents of an entry here. So either way, but I'm not going to enter in the middle of this chop here. Okay, so I only trade futures right now. I'm not doing spot. I don't, because I'm not accumulating. If it was the bull market, then I would be accumulating and holding spot, potentially on margin. But I'm mostly in cash. I'm all in cash right now. I'm not holding any crypto. There's only actually one exception to that, and that's Illuvium, and that's because I'm locked in until like March. It's like 2 years. And man, there was a time where man, that investment went way up and then way down. And I kind of saw it coming. But what I didn't see coming with Illuvium was that after I didn't realize that, this with the staking, when you claim the rewards, you have to wait another year. And I was just like, oh my God, 2 years. There's no way to time that. There's no way to know. So, but that's the only hold for me right now. I think I have some Atom and I have some Juno somewhere. They're like, I have Crow too, which I just kind of forgot about, but it's not much. It's not like significant. So I'm not doing spot right now. I'm all futures on MEXC, and I had some on KuCoin, but I have a few different accounts that I trade. And yeah, so okay, that's all I've got for you all today. I hope that some of you maybe coming in later watching this find it useful. Maybe you get some good trades out of it. And again, if you want to learn more about crypto, check out Smart Money's Crypto Handbook. Check out my courses while it's still discounted. Everything's discounted right now, and it won't be forever. So have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to end this stream now.